Story time on how my boyfriend got away with touching his own little sister. So I started dating this guy in like 2018. He lived like 45 minutes away from me, but he couldn't drive because he had a DUI. So his license was suspended. Well, I had a car, but I was in college, so I didn't have time to drive up to where he was at every single day. So we would only hang out on the weekends until he got his license back. Mind you, this man was a bum. He had no job. He wasn't even in school. I liked him despite all of that because I thought he was a genuine sweet guy. He still lived with his parents, but he was only 23, so I decided to give him the benefit of the doubt. But anyways, one day he came to pick me up and we went to his house. He told me that he had a little sister, but this would be my first time actually meeting her in person. She was only 8 years old and he was 23. He was super cute and sweet, so the more we hung out, the more I got close with her. Well, one day, me, my boyfriend, and his little sister are all in his room watching TV. He goes to the bathroom and me and her start talking. I ask her what she likes to do for fun. She tells me she likes playing the game Dress Up. So I ask her how to play. She tells me that you have to strip completely naked. The person that you're playing with dresses you up, and that she plays the game with her older brother because he's the one who taught her. Part 3 of why you shouldn't let just anybody around your kids. Like I said, there my stalker ass babysitter is banging on my window at 2 a.m. in the morning, and so I quickly go to get my parents because what if she breaks that shit and breaks in? Once I leave my room, I hear the banging stop, but I still go to tell my parents what just happened. My dad calls the police and they check around the area and she's nowhere to be found. The smell goes away, we don't see her anymore, so we think everything's good now. But one day my mom texts me and tells me that she left me a tray of cookies on the dining table for when I get back from tutoring. Well, I didn't see any cookies or a tray. When my mom gets home, she wakes me up and asks me where I put the tray. I told her that I didn't even see the tray of cookies. So my mom tries looking for the tray because she needs it for when she cooks. She never finds it. Mind you, my family never goes to our basement. But one day my dad needs some tools to help fix his buddy's car. He also notices that the tray we were looking for is in the basement. We're all freaked out at this point because our babysitter was secretly living in our house. Now things are going missing and being misplaced. And after looking around for any suspicion that she might have been there again, we notice a broken lock in the window of our basement. Part 3 of how my boyfriend got away with touching his own little sister. So he breaks up with me after I tell him what his sister told me about this game that they play where you strip completely naked. Yeah, that game. Me not having enough proof to take it to the authorities just yet, I beg for him back so I can go over to his house again, get more info from his little sister. For some odd reason, when I went over to his house, his little sister just wasn't anywhere to be seen. Me and him are sitting in his room watching a movie, and he goes to the bathroom. I see his little sister peek her head through the door. I'm like, hey, come here. She seems super excited to see me, and she tells me, Mom and Dad told me I couldn't talk to you anymore. So I ask her why, and she says that they told him that I was a bad person and I make up lies about people, including her older brother. So I ask her what lies I made up. She says they didn't tell her. Now I'm thinking, so the parents are in on it too. So I continue to ask her questions about this game that they play. Like, have you told your parents? She says yes, she's told her parents that they didn't see anything wrong with it. That's just another reason for her to think that it's okay. So that's when shit goes south and her parents walk in. Part 4 of how my boyfriend got away with touching his own little sister. So my boyfriend's little sister tells me that their parents know about this game that she plays with her older brother, where they strip completely naked. So as she's telling me more and more, her parents walk in. It was the first time I disrespected somebody in their own home. They start yelling at her for not staying put where they told her to stay put. That way I couldn't talk to her. That's when I snap and I start going off on her parents. And how I know that their son is touching their little daughter and they're not doing anything about it. And that I'm not afraid to report them. And her parents go ballistic. Also, when my boyfriend gets out of the bathroom, mom comes up to me and tries to smack me. Dodged it. Then she's yelling and screaming at me to get out of her house. It's kind of a hard situation because I knew that if I called the police, I would have no proof of anything. I would necessarily be trespassing since they told me to get out. That little girl can't speak for herself. They groomed her. She thinks it's okay. I wasn't gonna leave that little girl in that house, so I stood my ground. That's when my boyfriend grabs me. The dad grabs me. They pick me up. I can't even make this up when I say that they threw me out their front door. Part 5 of how my boyfriend got away with touching his own little sister. So after I confront the parents about it, my boyfriend and his dad both pick me up and they chuck me out their front door. They go back inside and then my boyfriend comes out again and throws my purse at me. My heart was torn to shreds because I knew that there was nothing that I could do. I didn't have enough proof of anything and I knew that I could not get back into that house ever again. Now I can't talk to that little girl. But I went ahead and reported them to Children's Services anyways. They said the most they could do was a well-being check. Obviously, they didn't see anything wrong in the well-being check because nobody in that household was going to admit what really happened. And I also know it went well because after they threw me out of their house, my boyfriend had blocked me completely on all social medias, but I still did have his friends on social media. I saw one of his friends post a Snapchat at his house with him and his little sister in the background, which means that little girl never got taken out of that house. I also made sure to tell all of his friends, but everybody just thought that I was lying and trying to falsely accuse him, so there was nothing that I could do. Let me tell y'all how I ruined my uncle's engagement proposal while I take off my makeup. So basically my uncle threw a little get together, invited my family, obviously. At That get together, he was planning on proposing to his soon-to-be fiance. He brought out a really big cake, and that cake had whipped cream on it. Okay, best believe I dived in. Listen, I'm not a big fan of icing, but I might do a backflip for some whipped cream. Everyone got a slice of cake, and it was gone. The plate was completely empty. My uncle starts panicking and looking around. Everyone starts eyeing him because he's acting really weird. Mind you, nobody knew that he was going to propose to his girlfriend. Me and my family end up having to leave early because of my little sister's ballet ceremony. Eventually, my dad gets a call from my uncle basically saying that he was planning the proposal and the ring is nowhere to be found. Now, where did he put the ring, you may ask? Well, it was in the center of the cake, and it was supposed to be a big reveal once everybody took their piece. My parents come to me and ask me if I've seen it anywhere. I told them that I had no idea. And all of a sudden, ooh, I gotta take a shit. When I got to the bathroom, I was blowing up the toilet, okay? I felt something real rough pop out my booty hole. I turn around to look because it hurt, and I see a ring in the toilet bowl floating amidst my diarrhea. Part 2 of how I ruined my uncle's engagement proposal while I take off my makeup. So like I said, after I ate the cake at the engagement party for my uncle's proposal, I got really bad diarrhea. And when I go to the bathroom, I shit out the ring. So a lot was going through my mind at this moment. I didn't know if I was supposed to grab it. Do I reach into my diarrhea and take it out? Do I rinse it and then give it back? Or do I just flush and act like I didn't see shit? Who would really want a ring that was sitting in somebody's diarrhea? Even if I rinsed it, even if I washed it with soap, it still had the diarrhea particles on it. There's all different types of creases in rings. So best believe I flushed that shit. Act like that whole thing did not just happen. Well, things took a turn for the worse once my uncle said that he paid $10,000 for that ring. I felt extremely guilty. I'd rather feel guilty than admit to anybody what happened. Until this day, nobody in my family knows what happened to that ring. I will live with this secret until the day that I die. This is the time I found out my mom was cheating on my dad with my ex-boyfriend. With my ex-boyfriend. And you already know your girl came with the receipts. Let's get into it. So around January last year, me and my boyfriend of 1 year had just broken up. And around that same time, I noticed that my parents' relationship was going down the drain too. I'm an only child. I could see how fake my parents would be around each other. It's honestly like they didn't even try to hide it. So one night I asked to use my mom's phone because I needed to look something up in that very moment and my phone was dead. And obviously I don't just look for what I need. I invade her privacy because if she had free access to my phone, she would have done the same thing. So I'm scrolling through her phone, then I open iMessage. First thing I see is a conversation with my ex-boyfriend. I wasn't surprised that she had his number because I gave it to both of my parents while we were dating just in case of emergencies. So I click on their conversation and this is what I see, child. At the time, I wasn't paying attention to the date. I just assumed that they were old messages from when he would be coming over to see me. But later on, when I caught them together, I threatened to expose him unless he sent me all their messages, which will be posted on my Instagram story. And I found out that those messages were from the day before I caught them together, which happened the next day. Part 2 of the time my mom cheated on my dad with my ex-boyfriend. Receipts included. So like I said, I saw these messages on my mom's phone between her and my ex-boyfriend. Here they are again. I wasn't paying attention to the date, so I thought they were old. Until the next day. So I'm with my friend and I'm in the passenger seat of her car. I open Snapchat and I accidentally click on Snap Maps. I see something weird. It says my ex is at my house. I'm thinking it has to be a glitch because why the fuck is this man at my house? We were somewhat close to my house, so I asked if we could pass my house real fast just to see if he was actually there. We drive past and we see his car in the driveway. And then we see him get out of his car. I'm trying to see what the fuck is up because after those text messages I saw, I don't trust. I'm on they ass like back pockets. I tell my friend, park behind this big ass tree, girl. We finna watch. So he walks up to the front door. And before he even knocks, before he even rings the doorbell, my mom opens the door, smiling all big and shit. And she opens her arms and hugs him. So she was expecting his arrival. But that was just a little friendly hug, right? You know, nothing too crazy. And they both proceed. This was a team effort to kiss. I pass out. Part 3 gets crazy. Part 3 of the time my mom cheated on my dad with my ex-boyfriend. Receipts included. After I see on Snap Maps that he's at my house, me and my friend drive past my house to see if he was actually there and his car was in the driveway. My mama opens the door for him before he even knocks. Then me and my friend witness them lock lips. At this point my blood is cold. The way I hop out that car faster than you could say homewrecker. So there I am running towards them. Obviously they see me running towards them, eyes wide open, and they start looking at each other. I'm like, hey, don't look at each other, look at me. Look over here. What y'all staring at each other for? So I asked them if I just saw what I just saw. Obviously they try to gaslight me. My friend was there and she saw it, so ain't no fooling me. So I'm screaming at them and I'm going at it. And they're screaming back like they didn't just do what they did. Our neighbor who is a cop hears us arguing and comes outside and tries to defuse the situation. He asks us what's going on. I just tell him that everything's fine and then we go inside. So we go inside and I sit them both down. I'm more curious as to how they even formed this whole entire relationship. So I tell my ex that I won't expose him if he sends me all the messages between him and my mother. Making part 4 right now. Part 4, the time I found out my mom was cheating on my dad with my ex-boyfriend. So once I caught them, I told my ex-boyfriend that I wouldn't say anything to anyone if he sent me all the messages between him and my mother. There my mom was, still trying to lie about it, still trying to deny it. Like me and my friend did not just see them both trade spit. He ends up agreeing, and there my mom is just looking dumb. And she says, if he sends you these messages, you're not allowed to tell your dad. I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. Obviously, I was still gonna tell my dad. All of those messages are posted on my Instagram story. So I did end up telling my dad, and he divorced my mom. Not surprised, it was gonna happen anyways. Their relationship was going down the drain. We both move out, and then I stay with my dad until I go to college and get my own dorm. I still talk to my mom every now and then because she was never a bad mom. Never understood and will never understand where this whole thing came from. Just that one incident was traumatizing and uncalled for. Our relationship after that was never the same. It was just always awkward. Last thing I heard about my ex was that he moved to States.